what if all sports were played in zero gravity? And Ben, I don't think you're not doing golf, but tell us what you did, Ben.
So I took a look at baseball, and really, I saw issues in 4 key areas of baseball, which are pitching, hitting, fielding, and base running, which you may have realized comprise all of baseball.
Hot dog seems still okay, though. We're good there, right?
I don't know how ketchup works, though, so who knows? So let's sort of start with pitching. I think that's a good place to start. Normally, when a ball is pitched, there's really like 3 forces that affect it. So gravity, drag, and the Magnus effect, which we'll get to in a second. But drag is unaffected, slows the ball down, easy enough. Gravity, obviously, is gone. A pitch, from the time it leaves the pitcher's hand to when it actually reaches home plate, will drop about 3 feet, which obviously now will not happen. It kind of just flies straight.
Easier for the pitcher?
Well, sort of, because I think it's pretty hard to actually throw a ball several feet below where you're trying to. So I think we're going to have to replace, right now there's a pitcher's mound, obviously it's about 10 inches up. We're going to have to replace that with a pitcher's pit, almost, to sort of get them.
just sink it to 3 feet.
Yeah, just on the right level, But then there's also sort of another force I mentioned there, which is the Magnus effect, which the Magnus effect is basically when an object is a cylinder or a sphere is spinning rapidly and moving through the air, there's a force on it that pulls it in the direction of the spin. So the way a curveball works, it's spinning very rapidly. I think the average curveball was about 2,500 revolutions per minute. Spins very rapidly, that pulls the ball to that direction. That still happens, but importantly, one of the types of fastball, the 4-seam fastball, is actually thrown with backspin, which is it pulls the ball up. Now, normally, what that does is just kind of make it, drop less quickly.
Make it go straight.
Yeah, it still drops, but
yeah,
less quickly than a regular, thrown ball would. But if there's no gravity, that ball is going to actually move up. So that's a kind of important extra pitch that you have now, is a ball that literally goes up. The one other problem with pitching, so those are both kind of, that's kind of a positive. The one negative is that, as with most athletic actions, your legs and rest of your body are actually very important. And in order to do that, you're going to have to actually, press off against the ground. And I don't believe that without gravity, you can actually generate enough force. So I propose, in the middle of the pitcher's pit is a pitcher's pole. And the pitcher's pole is for them to push themselves into the ground so they can still get that force on the ball to get the pitch out. So it also stops them from hilariously just sort of cartwheeling through the air after they throw the pitch, which would be great, admittedly, but probably not as effective. So
now I just imagine the pitcher spinning around a pole to wind up.
Oh, definitely. It's going to be great. There's going to be windmilling around there. It's going to be so much fun. They're going to get very dizzy. So hitting, you kind of have a similar problem. Hitting, actually, there's the fewest issues of any of these aspects of the game, it turns out.
Really?
You do have, once again, the problem that you have to hold yourself in place. And I tried for a long time. You can't really hold a pole because you need, obviously, both hands to swing a baseball bat. And I eventually decided that literally what you're going to do is just strap your feet onto the ground. And you might be asking, well, that's going to, add some complications when it comes to, running. It turns out you're going to have some time. Because basically at that point, Hane's the same. Strap your feet down. There's probably a little bit of give so you can, pick your lead foot up and everything. But you can sort of, hold yourself in place for the actual batting. Once the ball is hit, now obviously, it's not going to drop. So this is going to be probably our biggest shift. I don't think you can have outdoor baseball stadiums anymore because home runs get pretty easy in that case.
Just tap it.
There's a
go home run.
long fly ball.
They're all pretty long. Yeah.
It's going! It's going! It's going! It's still going!
So now pretty much there already are, domed baseball stadiums where you have, a covered stadium either because it's too hot or I guess not really as many because they're too cold, but, Tropicana Field down in Tampa Bay is, or I guess technically St. Petersburg, is a covered field. They're all going to kind of be like that. You might be asking, well, in that case, how do you get a home run? And I think they're all going to be in the park. I think there's going to be more than you expect because basically the ball is just going to shoot off in a direction and kind of just go until it ricochets off of something. And it's not really like it'll slow down from drag, but it's going fast enough that's going to take a while. So it's pretty much going to be a very fun ping pong like effect as fielders are flinging themselves up in the air trying to catch it in flight. I will say, I don't think that just a regular field is going to work because of this newly 3-dimensional aspect you have going. I guess it's always 3-dimensional, but you know what I mean?
Baseball in 3D.
Right. So I think there's going to be, like, I don't know if they're walls or there's going to be things for fielders to hold onto to suspend themselves.
More poles and more pits.
There's going to be a lot of, well, probably not pits, but yes,
pits.
poles are going to be heavily featured.
They're fielders' features.
Right, yeah. So it's going to be a lot of flinging themselves towards the ball and sort of swarming and trying to sort of corral it as the batter is frantically unstrapping their feet from the restraints.
Seems like a good opportunity to have like obstacle courses in the middle.
I mean, it's basically just going to be a giant obstacle course. Like, that's kind of how it has to work.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is going to make the ball's flight even more complicated because it's going to ping pong off of those, too.
Does the requisite, 30 seconds of the ball just flying straight up into, the ceiling and then, the baseball player unstrapping their feet kind of kill the tension a little bit?
Well, no,
does it
because
build the tension.
Because the thing to remember is that in that time, there's going to be, 5 or 6 guys who are, frantically looking at it and then just, launching themselves into the path of the ball, but also hopefully not into each other.
And hopefully not just missing the path of the ball, because that's an embarrassing miss.
Also probably painful. It's going to be a pretty dangerous sport. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. But then we have to actually get to base running, which is also pretty difficult without gravity because running implies, pushing off the ground. So I think I actually played with for a while trying to figure out how feasible having a wall to launch yourself towards the base would be. By the way, the base is clearly now also a wall or something at this point because you're not going to be able to get onto a base and stay there. I'm trying to figure out how to get yourself to the base. And I think the best option is basically you're going to have, I can't decide if it's actually a cable or just a horizontal pole to pull yourself along.
A pulley
So now
system.
instead of running, you are extended horizontally, pulling yourself arm over arm as fast as possible.
Which I think is pretty fast because you don't have anything slowing you down except wind resistance. So it's
Right.
going to be more
One
how
pole.
hard are you willing to hit that wall to get your single?
Exactly. And then, of course, if you're trying to, get a double or a triple or a home run, you have to stop yourself and change your direction, which is pretty tricky, actually, when all you have is a pole and a wall to collide with. So I think that's sort of how baseball looks now is weird pitches because they can go literally any direction. When the ball is put in play, you're going to have a combination. I'm imagining the broadcast is like a picture-in-picture thing where you have a small window of the batter's feet in close-up as they're I don't know if it's Velcro or what, but as they're unfastening whatever it is. And then just this ballet of outfielders flying across each other trying to catch the ball. And then this weird arm-based race to the bases that eventually ends in, I didn't even get to throwing the ball as a fielder is going to be harder because you're going to have to find one of those platforms and push off of that. It's going to be very sloppy and excellent. And that's where I actually think that the restraints are a good thing.
Is it even possible to throw a ball mid-air, zero gravity?
So technically, yes, but it would be entirely
You can, spin around.
You could only use your shoulder down. You can't actually I guess you could maybe torque your torso a little bit, but you can't get anywhere near as much power as you'd be able to
Right.
in a regular throw.
Yeah, I mean, you have a good amount of, you have a decent amount of power because you do have the whole swing of the arm, you have that whole moment arm going.
Right. It's just
Which
going to
helps out.
throw your body around when you do it.
Yeah, the question is what's going to happen to you, what you're going to look like after you do that motion, because now you're probably spinning idly in the air or something.
Right. Yeah, you're waiting for someone else to fly around and kick you back into position.
The whole thing that you're talking about with baseball reminds me of a classic Stephen Wright bit. I don't know if you guys are, if you know who Stephen Wright is, but he's from Boston, and that's where you are, right?
Yeah.
So do you know him?
He's the knuckleballer, right?
No, Stephen Wright,
no.
the comedian.
Oh, wow. There was also a knuckleballer named Stephen Wright.
Yeah,
okay.
the very, very monotone comedian. He's the best.
Yeah, from Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
He says, I was a young boy growing up in Canada, and I worked in a planetarium. And we had a softball team, and we would play other planetariums in the area. But to practice, since we didn't really know softball, we would line up under the stars or planets. I was in center field, so I always stood under Mars. The left fielder was under Neptune. The right fielder was under Saturn. And then one day we had an away game outdoors. We were way too far apart.
Perfect.
Oh,
One of my favorites. One of my
That's a great
favorites.
one.
Yeah, he's great.
But yeah, so I think it would be definitely a very different sport. That's no question about that.
Where do you put the people?
The
Yeah, is
people.
it all the same positions?
Oh no, I think
No.
he means the
audience.
Oh, the
Yeah.
audience.
I imagine that all the walls are transparent.
How about Velcro? I mean, the fans Velcro to the seats. That'd be outstanding. Whenever there was a standing moment, you would hear this collective ripping
That
sound.
would be great.
When they do the wave.
Well, it's like instead of applauding, you just stand up and sit down.
And the guy who had too many nachos was releasing some other sounds, but he just kept blaming it on the Velcro.
It's perfect. I see no flaws.
Velcro is notoriously easy to clean, so of course
Right, yes.
sanitation is going to be top notch in that stadium.
So yeah, so that is baseball. I think it is, obviously very different, but I think still entertaining. Maybe more entertaining.
I'd watch it.
I'd watch it.
I'm also gonna circle back one more time and say nachos is probably not the ideal zero gravity food.
Oh, definitely not. Okay, serious question though. What ballpark food can you eat in zero gravity? Cotton candy. Cotton candy. Well, we got one.
Anything with a condiment on it is already just immediately problematic.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to need the really long straws that you can just keep affixed to your mouth. So
Exactly.
you've seen the guy with the beer hard hats with the holders on each side and the things coming down, the straws coming down into either side of his mouth. That's what you have to have, because then if you are floating, at least that's going with you.
Exactly. Those are mandatory for all drinks.
Just liquidize all your food and eat that way.
Exactly right. And what sounds more delicious than a liquidized ballpark Frank?
Nothing.
Delicious.
I just think that in real life, the beer hat, I just realized it'd be the perfect solution to me not drinking enough water, because if it was always just right there, I would drink a lot of water during the day. Except for the fact I would just look so dang silly doing it.
Why don't you just get a water bottle?
Well, one man's silly is another man's fashion.
This is true. You're a trendsetter. Just tell yourself that every morning when you wake up.
That was a clip from Absurd Hypotheticals, the podcast where we answer dumb hypothetical questions. For the full episode, click on the link in the description.